Mr. President, council members, and participants, we are now live.
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. We will now reconvene this morning's. Thank you all much. We will now resume the public hearing and begin taking the school district's proposed budget. Before proceeding, however, I will lay out a few ground rules on how we will proceed with the public testimony this afternoon. We are here today to hear from you about the school district of the City of Philadelphia's proposed operating budget. Due to the COVID-19 emergency, we have implemented special procedures with respect to the public comment, which were advertised, posted on Council's website, and sent out in a press release. Speakers interested in giving testimony were asked to call or email us by 3 p.m. yesterday so that we could take the technical steps necessary to provide an opportunity for public comment in a virtual environment. We also encourage everyone who asked to testify to submit written testimony to the budget hearing on budget.hearings@phila.gov to ensure that their voice is part of the permanent public record. Any testimony submitted that will be added to the record of this hearing. To ensure that there is an opportunity for all of you to be heard, certain ground rules have been established as follows. Your testimony should be about the city's proposed operating and capital budgets and proposed revenue measures. The first calls for the public testimony were made at approximately 3 p.m. You will be asked to make sure that your phone is muted until it is your turn to speak. Once your name is called, please unmute by pressing *6 on your phone. You will then have up to 2 minutes. Please ask you to adjust your testimony to reflect the 2-minute time limit because we have a significant volume of individuals to testify. We want to make sure everybody has a chance, and we don't want people waiting on the line for 2-3 hours. In order to be fair, so we're going to hold faithfully to that 2-minute limit. Once you're asked to begin your testimony, a timer will be started. When there are 30 seconds remaining to your time, you will be reminded of this. Once your allotted time is passed, you will be asked to conclude your remarks. So, Mr. McDermott, I would ask you to please read the name of our first speaker today.
The first person to testify is Daryl Bundridge.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. Just state your name for the record and please proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Council President and members of Council for allowing me to speak today. My name is Daryl Bundridge and I'm the Executive Director of City of Philadelphia, an education nonprofit committed to supporting students, families, and communities across our city. The pandemic has reinforced what must be done to support those with fewest resources, and it turns out that City Year has been doing that all along with and for our students. What really matters, a focus on integrated academic and social emotional learning skill development, which is now widely understood to be a critical component of students' successful recovery from learning loss. Our students need City Year more than ever as our schools reopen. Our 18 to 25-year-old diverse full-time core members develop positive relationships with majority Black and brown students that help them build their strengths, including building skills with employers, or rather with working in teams. And our members offer guidance and mentorship while being young enough to relate to the students. We are certainly having an impact in the 16 schools and 10,000 students we serve virtually this year. 64% of our students improved their attendance from our attendance and SEL mentoring. 400 students have been part of our after-school programs, and over 200 events have been held with 7,000 views virtually. I just want to also point out what Johns Hopkins researchers have found, that City Year partner schools gain the equivalent of about 1 month of additional learning each school year as compared to non-City Year schools. They also found gains in social emotional skills is like gaining an entire school year of academic growth. Our work helps address student learning loss. City Year had revenue losses due to COVID-19, leading to a reduction of AmeriCorps members in the number of schools in which we served. Your increased investment will enable us to reverse those losses and intensify our services to help students reconnect with schools. Please consider increasing City Year's investment to $750,000 for this year, because at a time we're all concerned about learning loss and the trauma students have experienced with other inequities, our approach is critical to successful reentry for students and educators return to school this fall. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Andrew Lukoff.
Good afternoon. Just state your name for the record and please proceed with your testimony.
to the President.
Good afternoon.
My name is Andrew Lukoff, and I am the principal of Southwark School. Yesterday, if you were standing outside of my office, you heard a loud scream. It was a scream of joy. In fact, if you were standing outside of our building on the corner of 9th and Mifflin Streets, a place where our representative, Councilman Mark Squilla, and I have had many discussions around the education of our young people, you probably heard it too. Why? For the 5th month in a row, our student attendance went up. This past November, our attendance crashed dramatically. We had to do something, and our attendance team knew that City Year would be a major part of the plan, collaborating with teachers, counselors, support staff, and families. City Year assists us in supporting equitable approaches for our students, especially our Black and brown student population. They make phone calls home, build positive relationships with students, offer instructional support, reduce the adult-to-student ratio in our classrooms, and create an empathetic culture that makes students feel part of our school community. And during the pandemic, we discovered many more ways to expand their work. For example, we struggled with our 8th graders during this last difficult year. City Year led restorative circles with each of our 4 8th grade homerooms, and were successful in providing us with their authentic student voices. Research guides us that increasing student voice is particularly important for historically marginalized populations. It also empowers students to influence instruction, school climate, and educational policies. Their voice helps us advance equity in our school. To our City Council members, I implore you to support the great work of City Year. I will do anything to convince you except scream. I already did that yesterday. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Michael Roth.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record, and please proceed with your testimony.
Hello, my name is Michael Roth, and I am the proud principal of Olney Elementary School. Olney Elementary School sits in Councilperson Sherelle Parker's district. I am also a resident of the city of Philadelphia, and all 3 of my children attend Philadelphia Public Schools. My family resides in Councilperson Cindy Bass's district. I came here today to talk about one of the greatest programs for young people in our nation, City Year. Anytime Darryl asked me to share about the positive impacts of City Year, I jump at the opportunity because I have had the pleasure to witness firsthand its positive impact on our city's communities. I am in my 7th year as principal of Olney Elementary School, and this is my 4th year leading with City Year team members at Olney. Over the last 5 years, according to the district's SPR report, our school has outperformed every district and charter K-8 school in the category of student progress. Along with great teaching, I attribute much of the success in closing student achievement gaps for our English language learners and Black and brown students to the impact that City Year has had on our school community. City Year team members help us with the essential building block to a successful school. They provide us with greater capacity to build positive and healthy relationships with our students. Once students have that connection with at least one person in our building, teaching and learning becomes so much easier. City Year does that by doing some of the following things to help us build these powerful connections with students. Core members sing and cheer on students as they arrive to school. Core members partner with our students in class and provide tutoring and encouragement. Core members hold small groups, this year virtual small groups, during lunch and recess to check in on students' social and emotional well-being. During recess and after school, they play games with students to let them have some fun. Core members hold literacy groups to promote a culture of reading. Core members plan and hold fun events throughout the year, such as poetry nights, art and music nights, and end-of-the-year school fairs. Not only do core members help change the lives of students, the core members' own lives change as well. I've watched over the years as former core members have gone on to develop a love for service of the young people in our city. Many core members who have worked at Olney have gone on to further serve in the city as social workers and teachers. During this time of tremendous grief and loss in our city, we need programs like City Year now more than ever. Please support City Year so we can build and grow positive relationships for our young people that will have a lifelong impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Mary Sanchez.
Good afternoon. I'll state your name for the record, and please proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Mary Sanchez, and I am the principal of Warren G. Harding Middle School in Frankfort, District 7, under Council Member Maria Quinones Sanchez. Harding has been lucky to partner with City Year for 5 years. In addition to supporting students in reaching proficiency on grade-level math and literacy standards, City Year works to support our school with attendance and social-emotional learning. We all know that in 2020, Philadelphia had the highest number of homicides that the city has seen in over 30 years. 2021 does not seem to be providing us with any reprieve. During this school year, the violence has hit close to home. Shootings in Frankfort are frequent, and this year alone, we have lost 2 students who were or were recently members of the Harding family. In this past decade, poverty and unemployment in Frankfort has increased. Our students face inequities based on their zip code, and as a school, we have been using every tool at our disposal to ensure they do not face inequities in school. City Year helps us fill layered needs at Harding, and our partnership with them is essential to the continued success and growth of our school. Educators know that social-emotional learning is essential to the well-being of our students and the communities we serve. Over the past several years, we have made strides in focusing on the mental and emotional health of our students. We have a counselor for each grade level, and last year we were able to hire a social worker. City Year is also an essential piece of this puzzle, allowing our students access to increased support and attention. The core members are often younger and are able to connect with our students in a unique way. They know TikTok and all of the trends. They know the songs, the movies, and the TV shows. Our students trust them and confide in them. City Year has been essential in supporting our students and school community. In October 2018 publication of Ed Leadership, researcher Amanda B. Nickerson wrote, "Research has found that learning social and coping skills can protect bullying perpetrators from negative life outcomes, such as escalating aggression or violent behavior," and elaborated that positive behaviors, such as sharing, donating, cooperating, and volunteering, make people less likely to continue to a path of violence. City Year works with our students to uplift positive behaviors and provide ample opportunities for students to work collaboratively. For these reasons and more, City Year is deserving of funding to support the work that they do in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Ken Hurd.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record, and please proceed with your testimony.
Yes, can you hear me there, please?
Yes, we can. We'll proceed.
My name's Ken Hurd. I'm testifying today for the National Writers Union, also for the Move the Money to Human Needs Coalition. We have been struggling here in forming a committee so that we can make sure that we can have the school district in particular have more access to monies. We are basically working on having money moved from the 1033 program, which is in presently the police department, and another program, which is connected with military armaments. And we would like, if possible, to have a resolution passed through City Council. We'll be sending in further written testimony regarding this. We have our committee, which will be contacting yourself, sir, the president of City Council, and other City Council members within the next 2 to 3 months regarding this situation. We do hope to hear from you soon, and I hope I'm under the 2-minute program here in terms of speech. Ken Hurd, over and out.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony, sir. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Benjamin Shee.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record, please, and proceed with your testimony.
Good morning. My name is Ben Shee. I'm from Fiscal Year Transit. I'm commenting specifically to talk about the proposed capital budget and the city's $3.5 billion contribution for transit. While the stated goals of the transit portion of the capital budget and Deputy GM Leslie Richards' own testimony earlier this week signaled a strong commitment to city transit, the actual line numbers and the line items do not reflect this. If closely looking at the budget, you will see that around $1.5 million of that $3.5 million goes specifically towards regional rail projects, and specifically regional rail projects outside the city, such as a parking garage for Conshohocken. These investments do not fall within the city, and they are essentially a giveaway to the suburbs. While in the meantime, the city's own transit plan prepared by Otis and streets explicitly call for all Market Frankfurt Line and Broad Street Line subway stations to be accessible by 2030, and yet SEPTA had no pushback that accessibility deadline to 2032 with the latest capital plan. I believe that the city should retake control of the dollars it plans to spend, contribute towards SEPTA for the capital budget, and to prioritize money that will go to regional rail over to city transit. Looking at rideshare statistics, only about 3% of city residents ever take regional rail in the city, whereas the majority, over 95% of them, take city transit. And so the capital dollars that the city contributes should reflect this. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it. To the callers on the line, your testimony should relate to the Philadelphia School District and any aspects of its operation. Just a reminder. Thank you. Mr. McDermott, next caller.
Next person to testify is Jingyu Liu.
Good afternoon.
Sorry.
State your name and proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon, City Council members. My name is Jingyu. I'm a junior at Science Leadership Academy. I'm also a youth organizer with Asian American United. We surveyed over 80 of our peers around their experience with virtual learning and concerns around school reopening. I'm here to share some of our findings and ask the school district to invest on our school buildings, invest in support staff, and invest in curriculums evaluation system to help students in our return to school. From the surveys we did, we found that many students are having difficulty staying focused and lack motivation during online schooling. Over half of students reported struggling with online schooling, and 30% of students reported falling behind their classes. After a year of online learning, we need support services in place to welcome students back to classrooms. More than 85 students we surveyed had not feel safe going back to schools. Many students reported sanitation has been an ongoing issue since before the pandemic. As one student said, I don't trust the ventilation system in the school and the transportations I have to take since I have to take 2 buses. As an SLA student who has experienced firsthand how poor planning and poor ventilation can damage student health, I want to know the changes that are being put in place to ensure safe school buildings. When our school reopens, we need the school to invest directly in students. Many students reported virtual school is affecting their mental health and they're feeling burnout. As one student said, I have developed so many health issues from being online all day, just not healthy for anyone. The school district needs to commit to hire more mental health and college counselors and support staff to put less emphasis on testing to promote the well-being of students. Lastly, I want to address the fear that Asian American students feel about anti-Asian violence. We need a school district to invest in school-wide required curriculums about racism, especially in elementary schools, because we should start those conversations from when we're young. And many of us feel afraid to go outside, afraid to take public transportation, afraid of being attacked, but don't have space to talk about what's happening. School should be a place where we have to able to talk about those conversations. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Cameron Powell.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record and proceed with your testimony, please.
The next few people are not on the line, so please drop down to Quan King.
Quan King.
Good afternoon. Yes. State your name for the record and please proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon. My name is Quan King. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Although I have prepared something separately for a different topic, I can speak to the school system, and they definitely are in need of an increased budget. Being a recreation leader working for Philadelphia Parks and Recreation, we are certainly adjacent to our school system. Our recreation centers interact with a large population of the school district's student population, and judging from a lot of the input that is received from these students, a lot of our school systems and schools are failing our students in a number of different ways. And this has been exposed, I don't want to say exposed, but this has been definitely on display more now than ever due to the pandemic. A lot of our schools, lack proper ventilation, they lack proper resources, Some even lack access to steady and consistent internet. And if these aren't changed within our schools, then you're asking other areas of the community to kind of pick up the slack. And oftentimes in more impoverished areas in Philadelphia communities, there simply is no alternative. A lot of times students are coming to schools to even get meals, get 2 meals of their 3 for the day. So it's important that our school systems have what they need in terms of resources. It's also important that we reconsider what schools will need and mean to these students in the future as issues such as mental health become more and more of a priority. There certainly needs to be more input and impetus put towards having mental health professionals within schools, not just from a behavioral standpoint, but from a psychological and psychiatric standpoint. There are a lot of individuals that are students coming from disadvantaged communities that are dealing with the weight of generational traumas, violence in their communities, lack of access to food and other resources that are then coming into schools. And this could be the only level of stability that they have, and they still may not be able to function and cope. So I thank you for your time, and please definitely consider, making sure that these schools have what they need. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it. If there are callers, individuals waiting to testify, if you are interested in testifying on a matter other than school district, we will have additional public testimony hearings that reflect all aspects of the city. Mr. McDermott, do you know the next date?
The next date for public testimony is May 26th.
Okay, thank you. So if anyone wishes to testify specifically about another matter unrelated to school, about another department, May 26th will be available for you to testify on that. Again, we're really looking for testimony related to the Philadelphia School District. And thank you very much for your cooperation. Mr. McDermott?
Next person to testify is Lindsay Emery.
Good afternoon. Just state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony, please.
They also are not on the line. The next person on the line is Frank Chase.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
My name is Frank Chance. Can you hear me?
Yes. Please proceed with your testimony.
My name is Frank Chance, and I came to talk about the Parks and Recreation budget and the need for it to be restored. During the pandemic, park usage is at an all-time high because parks provide important outdoor spaces for people to get exercise and meet with others safely. Both human contact, which is much safer in an outdoor environment, and outdoor exercise are important to maintain physical, mental, and spiritual health during these times of challenge. So it's important to support the Parks and Recreation Department and its staff in their cleaning and other maintenance of the parks and recreation facilities. Thank you for your attention today. This may not sound like it's related to the schools, but in fact, the schools work better when the parks work better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Kelsey Romano.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record. So please proceed with the testimony.
Hi, can you hear me, Kelsey Romano?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please proceed with your testimony. Ms. Romano? I think you may be muted.
Hi, this is...
Yeah, go ahead. We hear you now.
Hi, this is Kelsey Romano. Sorry about that.
Just proceed with your testimony.
Okay. Thank you, council members. My name is Kelsey Romano, a special education teacher of 11 years, currently teaching at Saul High School in the School District of Philadelphia. I'm a member of the Racial Justice Organizing Committee, DSA, Reclaim, PFT, and the Caucus of Working Educators. Budget discussions focus on getting back to normal, but normal was never enough. Many may not know what mental health looks like in school. It looks like coaxing a child from an open third-story window, shielding a teen from oncoming traffic on Market Street, begging cops as big as linebackers to let me walk a 90-pound teen from the platform on the L back to school, caring for a kid screaming with scissors in their hands or a box cutter in their backpack or a fist laced with glass. It looks like reminding them to breathe, just breathe. Demand number 1, provide mental health supports for students and their families. Each child's mental health left uncared for bleeds into the streets. I'm tired of platitudes, of prayers, of promises, repeatedly pulverized. When leadership laments violence in another lost life, our city's values are demonstrated in our financial allocation. School police should never be part of this equation. Our students deserve support, not more criminalization. Demand number 2, remove all police and school resource officers from schools. The school district's emphasis on security and safety make our schools anything but. Do we really believe that school police, by whatever rebranding attempted, are able and capable of demonstrating the empathy, compassion, and care cultivated by mental health professionals over years of learning and practice? They're a source of escalation, frustration, aggravation, and traumatization. Demand 3, have the Office of School Safety replace school police with community members trained in de-escalation, restorative justice, and other skills that support healthy schools and communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Isabel Melvin.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record, and please proceed with your testimony.
She is not on the line. The next person is Nancy Wilder.
Nancy.
Ms. Wilder, good afternoon. State your name for the record, and please proceed with your testimony.
My name is Nancy Winder.
Winder.
On the behalf of the Winder, W-I-N-D-E-R. I'm on behalf of the Sayre High School at 58th and Walnut in the West Philadelphia area. I come to today about the budget right now for the year of 2021 and 2022. We need you to revisit that budget because right now the school is only going to have one counselor, and we need more than one counselor with 4 grades there. I'm really asking that we could get the help that we need because we need seasoned counselors, noting that all the violence that has been going on in our West Philadelphia area and many of our students who have lost their lives, they need to know that they can go and talk to someone that they have seen, some seasoned counsel there. So I'm calling on the behalf of our council that we will have more than one council for a high school with 4 grades in it. I thank you very much that you will help us in that situation that we have. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Tanya Thompson.
Good afternoon. To state your name for the record, and please proceed with your testimony.
What was that name again?
Tanya Thompson.
Oh, that is I. That's Tanya Thompson. You seem to cut off. Okay, good evening, council members. This is Tanya Thompson, and I'm calling on behalf of William L. Sayre High School. And I have a concern as well far as the counselors are concerned. In the area of West Philadelphia, encircling that area, high school of Sayre and Hamilton Elementary, there has been a numerous amount of shootings. The concern we have is about the internet Instagram feuds that are going back and forth across the area concerning the violence. Also, we have had 2 students in October surrounding the school that lived there and went to Sayre, who came out and who were very productive citizens, and that was a Mr. Jackson and a Mr. McCaskill, who were shot violently from returning from a trip from the islands, and they were innocent bystanders, and they were students from Sayre. They were well known in the community and very productive men of the community. And it has been a tragedy that our students that will be matriculating back into school sooner or later, still have these concerns. And not only that, in August of last year, we had a student every week killed in the area that surrounds Sayre High School, blatantly shot, 57th and Spruce, 58th and Locust, 61st and Locust. You cannot take the counselors out of Sayre High School and expect functionality. I am coming to the city council to plead with you to please reconsider what you are going to do with taking the counselors out of school. One counselor in Sayre High School is a recipe for tragedy. You have to take this back and reconsider it for the sake of the entire community, parents and students that are involved at Sayre and in that West Philadelphia community. This is a plea from me today as a community member, as an aunt, and as a neighbor for you to reconsider this, or we will have a different story, a tragic story to adhere to, and something that we could assist with and help by providing extra counselors, not extra, but adequate enough counselors in the school that our children can have someone to talk to if there is a need. Help us, help our community.
Okay, just for the record, ma'am, just for the record, this is a proposal that was submitted to us by the school district. We are reviewing that proposal, so we're not. It's not our proposal that's limiting the number of counselors. So we're just going to review it, and we'll have to make a decision about how much we provide to the school district. Just for a point of clarification.
Yes, I do understand it, but I needed to give you a backdrop of the concern why that bill needs to be and budget needs to be reconsidered.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure.
Okay, that's what I was given a backdrop for that, so you can understand the need.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much for your testimony.
Yes, and thank you for listening. Have a great day.
The next person to testify is Tim Young.
Good afternoon. Just state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
The next two are not on the line, so the next is Joseph.
Next
Joseph Starneri.
Yes. Hello, my name is Joseph Starneri. I'd like to also comment on Sayre High School, the counseling situation there. Can I proceed?
Yes, please.
Okay, hello. Okay, again, my name is Joe Starneri. Thank you, council members, for making me speak today. I was a teacher, assistant principal, and principal for several years in the district. Here, as a former principal, we had to bring Sayre Middle School to a high school. In addition, we had established a partnership with the University of Pennsylvania. The partnership resulted in the creation of a community school which served students and the community in the late afternoon and evenings. In addition, we had developed a health center which served both the community and encouraged students who were interested in the health field to explore various health careers. Throughout my years, I had always relied on having a counseling team to work with students in providing guidance, assistance in planning their future, and talking with them about problems that are unique to them. Counselors are truly needed to maintain interest of study for all students. For students, as they it's imperative to be a counselor for every grade level in the high school setting. If possible, 2 counselors or more per grade level is preferable to encourage career pathways, problems that students may encounter. Having 1 counselor from 9 to 12 of high school is unconscionable. As a result of having 1 counselor for all grades, will not have the opportunity to have sincere discussions focused on college and or post-secondary education opportunities and discuss career pathways. Also, students do not have an opportunity to discuss the problems that they may be encountering as part of their daily lives. In addition, as an increase in violence is taking hold in our city, students need to have an outlet to listen to their concerns and help them come up with strategies to promote peaceful solutions. I would encourage you to find whatever means is possible to increase the allotment of counselors at Sayre High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Khalif McCoy.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record, please, and proceed with your testimony.
believe is not on the line.
Okay.
Rochelle Solomon.
Good afternoon. Please state your name for the record, and you can proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon, City Council members and fellow public education stakeholders. My name is Rochelle Nichols Solomon. I am a member of Power Interfaith and the School Advisory Council, and I am speaking today on behalf of the Equitable Resources Campaign Coalition. Recognizing the exceptional needs of students due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we came together in January to secure essential positions for all public schools for the 2022 school year. We are pleased and want to thank the School District of Philadelphia for including our positions in the revised lump sum budget. This was an important step in the right direction, but it does not go far enough. Using state exam data, the district is allocating 2 positions for off-track schools and 1 position for on-track and near-track schools. We find this both unacceptable and unequitable. For starters, we have said from the beginning that these positions are a minimum. They represent the floor, not the ceiling. The use of state exam data from 2018-2019 ignores the extraordinary experience and reality of the last 2 school years. It negates the extreme trauma and pain all children, families, and the adults who serve them have experienced. On and near-track schools, like their off-track school counterparts, serve majority Black and brown and overwhelmingly neighborhood schools. They are located in and draw students from across the city in all zip codes and city council districts. And finally, in September, as you heard today from Superintendent Height, all schools will be juggling many, many new programs. At the school and classroom level, these supports will require strategic coordination if they are going to work. That means educators will be asked to do more, much more than in the past. As such, 2 positions should be a critical baseline. We are painfully aware that under-resourced and inequitable funding has persistently plagued public education in this city, and we will continue to fight for full and fair state funding. However, there will never, ever be another time in our lifetime and the lifetime of our students that they will return to school coming out of a raging COVID-19 pandemic, social upheaval, raging gun violence, and more than a year of uninterrupted learning. That said, we call on your support, City Council, for allocating at a bare minimum 2 positions for all of our schools. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Elsa Calfin.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record, please, and proceed with your testimony.
She just dropped off the line.
Ashley Tellez.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Hi, my name is Ashley Tellez. I'm 14 years old and I'm a freshman at Franklin Learning Center. I'm here today to represent Juntos, our youth program Foresight, and all students in Philadelphia. I have a vision for safe, supportive, clean schools, and I know that is not a lot to demand. I know that we can reach this vision by taxing the rich, demanding pilots for adequate school funding, school and community funding, and defunding the police. There is 1 nurse for every 700 students, 1 bilingual counseling assistant for every 3 schools, and 1 counselor for every 950 students. This strain should not be put on just 1 person. They are overworked and unsupported, and 1 person cannot help as many students in a sustainable way. We need funding for more nurses, counselors, and BCAs. Access to proper counselors that mentally and emotionally support students who are going through traumatic experiences is crucial. This is important to me because I experienced the threat of gun violence at my old school. This experience was really traumatic for me and made me feel unsafe to continue attending school or to even trust the staff to keep me safe. With the help of counselors, this situation could have been prevented. The student could have confided in the counselor to express their emotions and receive restorative support. We want funding to ensure access to safe and clean learning environments because schools are poorly maintained. They contain asbestos that can cause lung cancer and other health issues, my school included. FLC was shut down for asbestos in December 2019, and that should have never happened to begin with. Why is this a reality for our students? Why are we struggling for resources when institutions like Penn, Drexel, Jefferson, and the police have so much? These funds should be redirected and reinvested in our community. This reinvestment in our community will not only help students now, but will be an impact seen in future generations. This is why our community needs and we demand to be heard.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Laura Rodriguez Ramos.
Good afternoon. Please state your name for the record. Proceed with your testimony.
The next few people are not on the line. Please move to Valerie.
Valerie Gay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Just state your name for the record. Proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon. My name is Valerie Gay, and I have the privilege to serve as the Deputy Director of Audience Engagement and the Chief Experience Officer at the Barnes Foundation, and I'm Treasurer of the Board of the Philadelphia Cultural Fund. I'm also a native Philadelphian, and I'm a proud alumna of Girls High, Temple University, and the University of the Arts, where I studied and earned degrees in music from both institutions. I'm also the former executive of Art Sanctuary and the founder of Fortress Arts Academy, a small arts education program that primarily serves marginalized youth and adults in West and Southwest Philly. I was going to ask about our budget for PCF, but listening to and hearing Council President's remarks around gearing us towards the city of Philadelphia or the school district of Philadelphia, I implore you that you take a look at the budget and wherever is possible, please reallocate funds to our district. I'm a prime example of how education can exponentially change one's life and the life of family members. The education that I've received, I now put back into the community through the thing that I know best, which is the arts. We use the arts to work with schools, to teach entrepreneurship, civic engagement, political education. If I was a scientist, I would use science. If I was something else, I would use that. For me, art is a tool. And I ask that whether it's for gun prevention or counseling or the remediation of schools, that you really consider how much we can actually support our district. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for the work that you're doing, because I know how difficult it is to make these difficult choices. But as a Philadelphian and as a proud product of the Philadelphia School District, I ask that you please support our children, because they truly are the hope that we have for our community. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Joyce Drayton.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, President Clark, and our members of City Council. Just happy to be with you. Thank you for this opportunity to share my testimony. My name is Joyce Drayton. I'm commenting on resolution number 210332. I bring you greetings from the Georgia Gregory Interdenominational School of Music. We will refer to as Gegasom, located in a nice town titled the section of North Philadelphia, the 8th Councilman District of Councilwoman Cindy Bass, a community where I grew up, attended school, taught school, continue to serve as a church musician, and have dedicated my life's work. I am founder and executive director of Gegasom, who has provided music, performing arts training and education for at-risk inner-city youth since 1999. I come to you today as a grantee of the Philadelphia Cultural Fund, who we will refer to as PCF. During our 21-year journey, Gegasom has served over 5,000 youth as students, performers, up-and-coming leaders, or supporters in our inner-city community where music or arts programming were non-existent prior to our arrival in 1999. We also served over 400 adults, with our oldest student 92 years old. Gegasom is currently providing music education and instruction in 2 charter schools, Cleveland Mastery, Mariana Bassetti Academy, and 1 private school, Cristo Rey High School, free of any fees, supplementing in-school and out-of-school music education to support the school system so that no child goes without the arts. To make sure any youth who desire to study music or dance, GEGASOM also provided free and extremely low tuition for families with marginalized finances and rose to the occasion during the COVID pandemic as we continue to provide music education and performing arts training at no charge. How can that happen? Since 2005, PCF has been one of our significant funders at GEGASOM as they invested in our vision and mission to fill the void of arts programming in Black and Brown communities. PCF support for general operating funds to small grassroots organizations like GEGASOM allows us to give youth a positive alternative for cognitive, social, emotional, and cultural development. PCF critical supporter of 349 arts organizations that contribute to the economic engine and vital health of our city, and even more so to the 200 organizations who were awarded some funding from the drastically reduced budget from fiscal year 2021. During COVID-19. We implore our mayor and city council members to restore PCF to the pre-pandemic budget level of $3.14 million for fiscal year 2022, demonstrating that funding for arts sector serving our youth in our city matters. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
Next, we have Dr. Soni Dean and Dr. Katrina Blankenhorn, who are testifying jointly.
Good afternoon. State your names and proceed with your testimony, please.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katrina Blankenhorn speaking on behalf of me and Dr. Soni Dean and a lot of pediatricians and patients from Einstein Medical Center in North Philadelphia. Pediatricians are seeing a threefold increase since the epidemic of worsening mental health and obesity in children and youth. The bare minimum for our city's children and youth is safe, clean, purposeful spaces at school for processing trauma and mental health regulation, physical activity, including outdoor fields or courts, gymnasiums, social connectedness and community, like an auditorium, and education around nutrition with consideration for school gardens to show children where their food comes from. The funding for these improvements should come from the capital investment to provide safe, healthy, and modernized schools. It must not detract from the other guardrails and focus areas. To support educational recovery, accelerate learning, support social emotional needs, funding must also be dedicated for more mental health professionals, social workers, case managers, counselors, reading and math recovery specialists, special education teachers. This may take the form of a core resource group, but should aim to have a team at each school serving a maximum of 250 students. Teachers and other educational staff must have ongoing trauma-responsive training to facilitate their implementation of a culturally relevant curriculum. We should devote funding so that every student at every school has access to sports and creative arts such as music, storytelling, poetry at least half the week. We should expand real-world application of learning and career immersion by developing a curriculum that focuses on real-life skills, financial planning, fund a curriculum based on internet safety and how to discern fact from fiction on the internet, as well as funding training for counselors for dealing with cyberbullying, providing students SAT and college prep. Many teenagers do not know what they want to do with their lives, so we need to fund training for counselors on how to help these students find their career path and fund internships for high school students to achieve real-world experience. We should also make COVID vaccinations attainable for teens by offering them at schools. We should have free Wi-Fi at schools, as well as soap and paper towels, basic necessities, the things that students shouldn't have to be bringing in for themselves. Books should be supplied as well as any electronics, pens, and paper a student may need to succeed. Lastly, the hiring of a diverse staff to develop and implement this curriculum is a necessity. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
The next person to testify is Susanna Lowy.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Proceed with your testimony.
Hi, my name is Susanna Lowy, and I'm the program director and lead teaching artist at Project 440. Project 440 is a Philadelphia-based nonprofit that serves Philadelphia high school students, specifically musically interested high school students. We are a Philadelphia Cultural Fund grantee. Project 440 is unique in that our programs don't focus on developing musicianship, and instead our creative youth development approach uses a shared love of music from any genre and skills inherent in being a musician as a jumping off point to strengthen identity, build community, and ultimately help young people develop competencies they need to thrive. Receiving Philadelphia Cultural Fund funding is critical to Project 440 and the youth we serve. in that it has provided the foundation of funding both of our core programs. One program provides college and career information, and another program teaches entrepreneurship and leadership skills. Project 440 helps young people use their interest in music to forge new pathways for themselves and ignite change in their communities. Through music, every young person is provided with the opportunity and tools for individual growth and community impact. Overall, it is imperative for the city to support the arts and the Philadelphia Cultural Fund. I implore that you fully restore funding to the Philadelphia Cultural Fund in the amount of $3.14 million.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next person to testify is Laurie Mazer.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record. Please proceed with your testimony.
Hi, I'm Laurie Mazer, a public school parent of 2 students in Councilperson School's district. I'm a school advocate and a member of Parents United for Public Education and Philly Healthy Schools Coalition. And I just want to clarify 2 things before I give my testimony on the School District of Philadelphia's budget to this body, who oversees and is responsible for how we as a city choose to spend our money. Number 1, the funding system for our schools is broken on the state level. There's a lawsuit that's happening to try and fix this, and that is necessary and important to acknowledge that we have and will be starved by the state, who doesn't care about our children or those in the poorer, rural, or mid-sized cities. And number 2, when I ask you to drive a culture of accountability and to put meaningful oversight and public participation in the school district, I'm not saying we shouldn't fund schools because there's waste and mismanagement, which there is, but more that we need to dictate and demand a culture at the district that is open and transparent as we fund our way to thriving, vibrant, healthy schools. As we get a massive infusion of money into our school district from the federal government, we need to prioritize what groups like the Racial Justice Organizing Committee, our city, our schools, PFT, and CASA have been demanding. We need real engagement of school communities on fixing our toxic schools and the planning of all major capital projects. The PFT recently demanded real environmental facilities committee made up of union members, parents, and staff. We need to see exactly what schools will be getting the major capital projects and how those decisions are going to be made. And we need the data we're going to use to make those decisions to be shared with all of us. Last week, I joined Zoe Rooney, who is our 2021 Lindbeck Award-winning teacher at Strawberry Mansion, and she's also a parent and an advocate, on a trip to 440, where we tried to access the asbestos inspection records from 2019 and 2020. When the district tells us they did all this great work removing asbestos, but then make parents submit right-to-know requests to see that information, and then further make us attend a 1-hour in-person document review rather than posting the information, the system is broken. I need you to demand better from Dr. Haidt. We don't need to recreate the wheel. There are processes for participation in school buildings in D.C. that we could work from. We need committed, honest participation from the district. When CASA and parents groups ask you for equitable resources for 5 funded positions in every school, and we get $15 million of iReady and online assessments, we need to do better, and we need to make sure our voices are being heard, and we need you to drive that. So please make sure the district is listening to us and that you're checking in to make sure they're doing all they say they're doing. Please advocate for more parent, student, teacher, principal, staff input in meaningful ways, not surveys that ask us to choose if ESOL or special ed resources are more important, or if air conditioning or asbestos removal is our priority. If we plan and prioritize, we can have all these things and more, but we need to have more than hollow assurances that this work is being done. We need you guys to demand to see it.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next person to testify is Jan Lasore.
Thank you. President Clark and City Council, thank you very much for the opportunity to make this testimony. I'm calling from Northwest Philadelphia. I'm the president of the Friends of the Chestnut Hill Library and also representing Friends of the Free Library of Philadelphia. We want to emphasize how important and what a key part of the educational system in Philadelphia, the institution of our libraries, especially and including the branches, are to literacy and lifelong learning in the city. Every parent, every teacher, we all know that we have just experienced a lost year for our children in the schools. This is a critical time, and we can't afford to even slip back further than before the pandemic. We are lucky that the federal government has approached us with some funding to address the effects of the pandemic. Except for death and illness, there is nothing more dire than this lost year for our children. This is a priority. Please do not cut now funding to the libraries as proposed. In fact, we are asking for $15 million to the pre-pandemic budget. It is so frustrating. We hear it all the time from neighbors and parents and children that they climb the steps to our libraries and find them closed because they are understaffed. This is even before the pandemic. Please take into account our branch libraries. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
Council President, the last name on the list is Christina Sloat.
Good afternoon. State your name for the record and please proceed with your testimony.
She is not on the line and no others have called back.
Thank you very much. That concludes our public testimony for today. And if there are any no other statements from members of the committee, this committee will stand in recess until Wednesday, May 13th at 9:30 a.m., at which time we will reconvene on Microsoft Teams. I want to thank you all very much and see you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, staff. It's a long day. Thank you.